Hey everyone, Terry Taylor here with the Taylored Realty Team, and again we're here for another episode of Taylored Talks. On today we're talking about one of the interesting components in the home buying process, and that is the home inspection. Joining us today we have Brandon Wiggins with Wiggins Home Inspection. He's going to give us a few insights on the whole home inspection process. Brandon, thanks for joining us.
No, thank you, Terry. We appreciate the opportunity to be able to be here with you today.
Great. And before we dive in, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, how long you've been doing it, what all goes into the home inspection process, how long you've been doing it?
So we've had our license and been practicing inspections for about 8 years now, going on 9. My background is actually architectural engineering, with designing, computer-aided design. But I wanted to, I did do commercial construction and masonry and concrete for a couple of years and wanted to keep in the construction trade, but get out of the labor-intensive part of it. So I started researching home inspections when we got a home inspection on our personal house. And I said, this is something that I think I can do, and just kind of started researching it and dived right in.
Okay. So you said you've been doing it for about 8 years now.
8 years now.
Okay. Good deal. Well, we're going to go ahead and get started now. In today's talk, we're going to talk about a few things from the buyer side, the seller side, even the inspector side, and we may even bust a few myths that's going on out there. So for starters, for someone who's getting a home inspection, what can buyers expect when they're going through the home buying process and they decide to order a home inspection?
It's very important that a buyer be able to get a home inspection. It acts as a form of insurance, basically. Certainly you want to be totally informed before you make such a huge decision in buying a property. So 100% home inspection is very, very important. Therefore, you can be informed of what's going on with the property, and then also to whether you need to be able to either continue with the process or
shut it down.
Shut it down,
yeah.
Exactly.
And one of the things we do, we always recommend for our buyers, and again, we're starting off with buyers, all inspections aren't necessarily created equal. In fact, we're talking about home inspections, and that's exactly what you do. There's also roof inspectors,
correct,
heating and air inspectors.
Yep.
I think one of the things that I like about the home inspector is, this is your time to toot your own horn. I think you guys are the most thorough of all of them, really, because you kind of touch all of the components. Would that be an accurate statement, you think?
Yeah, absolutely. You can almost kind of think of it as your general healthcare doctor or family doctor
right,
or internal medicine doctor. We're the ones that really kind of know a lot about everything, or a little bit about everything, but also having these other inspectors like your HVAC or your termite inspector, which actually hones in on more of a specialist in a specific area, is also important too. So,
okay, next question. So, when a buyer schedules a home inspection, how long does a typical home inspection take?
Yeah, it usually depends on the size of the property, but typically home inspections are typically 2 hours and can go all the way up to 3 hours. It's very thorough. We get in every little nook and cranny, so to speak, of the house so that we can give as much information as possible. So,
why don't you talk about some of the systems you touch? So what exactly does it encompass? What are you looking at? What are the things that you're inspecting?
Correct. So pretty much everything that you can almost see in a house, we would take a look at. Our general process is we will typically start with the roof structure first, then we'll look at the exterior of the property, and then we'll look at the foundation. That includes if the house is on a slab, a concrete slab, or if it's on a crawl space. We'll get in there and we'll look at the actual structure of it, and then we'll look at the other mechanicals as well that can be found in the crawl space. And then we'll go on the inside of the property. We'll test all the fixtures, the water fixtures, all the electrical outlets. We'll look at the electrical panel, garage, and the actual attic structure as well, with the insulation, and then also your HVAC system.
That is thorough. So again, they get a general look at everything, and if a specialist is needed, do you indicate that? I mean, do you ever say, I might want somebody else to take a look at this, maybe a roofer or a heating air inspector? Do you ever call or let the buyer or seller know you probably want to get a specialist on this?
Correct. So we'll make that pretty clear. Not only during the inspection, usually during the inspection, we'll highlight key items that would probably be things that you would like to negotiate, and then also in the report you'll find a lot more information. Not only those particular items that we would highlight during the inspection, but we'll also highlight improvement or maintenance type items where we would always refer a certified electrician, plumber, HVAC tech to follow up on those. Absolutely.
Good deal. So next question, should buyers be present during a home inspection, or should they just call you up and allow a report to come out, or should they be on site during the inspection? I know this may vary from inspector to inspector, but what are your thoughts?
Correct. Yeah. So, me personally, I always like the buyer to be there 100% if they're able to, because this allows them to not only to be there, but also to put eyes on certain things that I would point out, and then also to the realtor. Therefore, there's no lack of or miscommunication, so to speak, that would maybe come up later in the process, and that may hold you guys up, which we definitely don't want hold up the process. So certainly that's key, and then it's just allows for communication to be explained a whole lot better, and then also too, the client is there. They can see things that they would have to potentially do when they take ownership of when they finally buy the property, or things that okay, yeah, that definitely does need to get repaired, or this, that, and the other. So
very good. And speaking as a realtor, I know it's always easier, kind of like you said, when they're on site with you during the inspection, because occasionally, and again, speaking for realtors, we're never trying to dodge questions, but again, this is your area of expertise. So sometimes when we get the reports back, buyers might come to us and say, what does this mean? And we might refer them, we'll go ahead and call your inspector and get them to explain exactly what it is they saw. So if they're on site, to your point, they can ask those questions then, and you don't have to rely on us trying to explain your report and possibly messing things up. So very good point.
Absolutely.
Next question I would ask is, so let's say you're doing an inspection and you find something that's pretty major. You find something on the inspection. What is it that you're recommending for the buyers to do at this point? Should they make the necessary repairs? Should they negotiate price, or should they walk away? Or are those options kind of inspection specific?
So yeah, we always have the mindset that even some of the worst things that are found in a property, like something foundation wise, or some major leak, or it can always be explained in a way that it's there's a solution. Whether that means that that particular defect would have to get repaired or negotiated, which definitely would be our first option, in our opinion, before walking away. So definitely keeping things in perspective with each particular property is key, but also I really think there's also always a silver lining at the end of the tunnel, even no matter how bad it is.
Very good, very good. And that's a good point. Like I said, I think those are some of the options, but as your agents, your real estate agents, we're going to negotiate. We're going to go back to the drawing table, and just know after the inspections, especially if things come up, that's the time where we'll probably go back and try to negotiate things, whether it's repairs. I'm sure it's very rare that you'll do an inspection, even if it's new construction, where you don't find something. And that's kind of what we prepare buyers for. It doesn't matter if it's an older home, a few years old, or even new construction, because we've dealt with it quite a bit. We always see something come back on those reports. Maybe not as big, but certainly there's always something that can be addressed. So there's really no perfect homes out there.
Exactly.
Okay, so we talked about buyers a little bit. Let's flip the script and talk about sellers just for a second. Should sellers have home inspections done prior to listing their home?
Yeah, 100% as well. We're super pro with that because it's an area where, as a seller, you definitely want to get a thorough evaluation of the property, and also too, things that will show up in a seller's inspection that you would get would probably show up in the buyers, and that is time that probably could have been saved, or small repairs that could have been made that would have eliminated a lot, time wasted, and also your money as well too. So certainly we highly recommend that. We offer that as a service where we really focus on just pre-listing inspections, is where we will take a look at just the key areas of the property, and it's typically $100 less than a regular home inspection.
Okay, very good. So a pre-listing home inspection would be money well spent, and to your point, it gets everything out in the open. Now, one of the things you do have to know as a seller, if you get that inspection report done, it becomes part of your property disclosure. So you want to be able to disclose that, hey, I know this is what's wrong with the property.
Correct.
We're presenting it. And a lot of times for buyers and sellers, I'm sure buyers will know that sellers are usually willing to work with some of the items that show up. But again, I think it's a good gesture of full disclosure on the seller's part. There's a lot of misconception about home inspections. So what's one of the biggest myths you'd like to bust as a home inspector?
Yeah, so this one's probably more on the realtor side of things. I would say one.
All right, I'm ready. I'm ready for the blow. I'll take it.
One myth would be how maybe there's a general misconception of how home inspectors, they bust deals, or they kill contracts or deals that are put down on different properties. But really, as home inspectors, our expectation is to be able to provide the seller or the buyer with as much information as possible so that they can make a very informed decision on the condition of the property, whether to buy it or not, because it's a very, very important. So it's providing as much information, whether good or bad, ugly sometimes it may come out, but it's very important, because the last thing you want to happen is something that wasn't found that the buyer later on discovers after closing, and the buyer's stuck with that. Yeah. So it's that's, I would say, one misconception. We get as much information out there as possible about the property.
All right, I'll wear that one for the realtors. So they're not deal breakers, guys. Okay, they got the buyer or the seller's best interest at heart, and yes. Certainly I think I can see how that would be one of the misconceptions that's out there, that this inspector came in and messed this deal up. But all you're doing is you're just reporting the facts, just what you see. So we certainly appreciate that. Another thing, I guess the question next I would like to ask is, are all home inspectors created equal? What's the difference? How can you tell a good home inspector from, we won't call them bad, but I guess there's levels to this.
Yeah.
So what would you say?
Yes, once you're at that process of looking for a home inspector, it's very important. I would say the two main or key important areas is making sure your home inspector is very, very thorough. Okay. The last thing you want is a home inspector to go in and do inspection, and then you're having to call him time and time after again. Did you check this or check that? You don't want that. You want someone that's thorough, that has examines all the systems of the property, and not only examines them, but that makes experienced enough to be able to make different decisions in so far as presenting those different aspects of the property and categorizing them in level of importance with regard to the defects. So it's very important too that he's clear in his inspection report as well too, so that you understand that particular document, and you're not having to ask a whole lot of questions later. That's very important as well.
Yes, and I know certain professions, there's certifications and standards you have to stand up to. Is it the same for home inspectors?
Correct. So the residential building commission regulates the home inspector's trade for the state of South Carolina. So there's a proper licensing that we have to get and that we renew biannually, and continuing education hours as well. And then apart from that, we are part of a Home Inspectors International Association of Home Inspectors as well too. Is another association that we are part of that really gives us a lot more credibility and also provides a lot of training, continuing education, especially as the construction trade evolves. It's very important that we stay on top of the different avenues in the construction trade, and it's very important. So we love these two programs, the state of South Carolina, the LLR, and also to the INTRNACHI, which is the International Association of Home Inspectors.
Very good. And see, we know that standards constantly changing. One thing that buyers and sellers or buyers may not know is if you're going to present something for repairs, or if you're going to present something to the other side that you want them to address, correct, they're looking for it to come from a licensed home inspector, someone correct, that, you can't just say, well, my dad said, and put it on a piece of paper. It's not going to carry as much weight. It's not going to mean as much if it doesn't come from a licensed inspector. That's their trade. That's their bread and butter. That's what they do for a living.
Absolutely.
So it carries a whole lot of weight. Thank you for clearing that up.
Absolutely.
And finally, before we close out, there's a couple other things. We know AI and technology is all around us. I don't think they've quite come up with a way yet, although we keep our fingers crossed that not just, you can't take a picture and then they tell you everything that's wrong. You got to get somebody in the attic or in the crawl space to kind of look at these systems and figure out what's going on. So what's some of the technology, what's some of the tools of your trade? What kind of things do you use, or how has technology helped you to be a better home inspector? Yeah,
so definitely as from when I started to now, our level of technology has definitely grown. It's from when we started, I would say our home inspection software that we used when we write our reports and to share that information is definitely changed. We're currently using a Spectora as a type of program that we use for inspection software, which is top of the business and the top of the trade, and it's inspection software that we feel that is interactive, and so that allows a client to see lots of photos and then also to videos that they can be able to have access to for forever, so to speak, so that they can be able to always refer back to their inspection report. And then also too, we do so far as our tools are concerned, right, we do use a drone, as we are certified drone pilots as well too. And then also to infrared technology with the infrared camera that helps us detect perhaps moisture intrusion into the property, and also to lack of insulation in some areas, efficiency-wise. So maybe around your doors, your windows, and things like that. So we do offer separate services for those, and also too mold inspections too as well too. Okay. Good stuff. Good stuff. So technology is definitely a part of the trade. Absolutely. Absolutely. So, Brandon, this has been awesome. We certainly appreciate you coming in. We'd like to provide as much information for our community as we can. One of the things that I've also mentioned to our buyers is it probably would be money well spent to try to get an annual or at least a semi-annual home inspection, because I think you can attest to that if you catch problems on the front end when they're $30 fixes versus 5, 10, 15 years down the road when it's a $3,500 fix, exactly, you'd rather do it for $35 versus $3,500. So, absolutely. Brandon, if someone's interested in
getting in contact with you for a home inspection, how would they do that?
Yeah, definitely. Our number is 803-814-5621, and also to our website is a good way to be able to get in contact with us and see the various other services that we offer and get to learn a little bit about myself, my wife as well too, at wigginsinspections.com. So definitely we'll be glad to be able to meet you guys.
Brandon, thanks again for coming in and sharing your wealth of information and knowledge. Brandon is one of our go-tos for sure, and we're very satisfied. Our clients, our customers speak highly of Brandon, and they're satisfied with the work he's done for us. So find yourself a good home inspector. It needs to become a part of the things that you do, because remember, usually your home is your biggest investment. So you want to take care of it. You want to make sure you know what's going on with it, and take good care of it, because again, it's your biggest investment and it pays dividends in the long run. Thanks again for joining us for this edition of Taylored Talks. We hope to see you in the next one.